Hey guys, Mike here. I have the Superbase Pro 1500. I think I did at least a couple of videos on it, and through my journey of getting it on the, I think, Kickstarter Indiegogo campaign, all the way to receiving it, unboxing it, setting it up. And it's been like on a couple of months now, definitely, that I've had it, and I still have remaining issues with it. So first, let me just say that that a lot of these issues have actually been addressed, and I still have this one major one nagging one, actually two major ones nagging. All right, first of all, when you first get it, you're going to have to want to update all the firmwares. Now, some of you guys already have it, might have given up on it. I feel you, I understand. At the time that I was going to use this for a big major trip, it actually was not reliable enough that I chose to just leave it at home. And I'm talking about I attempted a bike trip, an e-bike trip from San Francisco to LA, and I needed some sort of system to supercharge really fast. So imagine if I'm riding my e-bike and I have access to a power outlet just for a little bit, whether it's a camping site or Starbucks, whatever, I can supercharge fast, really quick, so I can get going. This was not reliable enough at the time. I could not trust any of these gauges up here, nor could I trust any of my connections on my phone to have it run reliably. And for the most part, since the latest firmware updates, a lot of that stuff has been addressed, but there's still issues that keep popping it up. So my advice for you, if you are in fact getting one of these, and if looking back, just understand that, you know, Zendure may have been around for a little while, but they're kind of new to this type of thing, and they're kind of new to this whole interface, and they're new to the whole app ecosystem connectivity thing. They try to do so much so fast and soon with this that the engineers just didn't fix the bugs that came along associated with having, you know, remote 4G connectivity, and the app connection constantly really have issues. Even right now, I'm still not connected from my smartphone to the unit because I primarily use iPhones. And as I've shown in one of my very first videos about the unit, I still have troubles connecting to it. The only way for me to connect to it reliably to my Wi-Fi here at home was to connect through Android. Now I haven't done this yet. I'm still using actually the 4G connection, 4G LTE connection that is included. Thankfully that works. And so far that has not been much of an issue, but you know, it's only complimentary for I think 6 months or a year, I forget. Sooner or later I'm gonna have to pay. All right, so let me talk about the remaining issues that I have right now. So the first one was, of course, the connectivity between my phone and Android. I hope they resolve that soon with the iPhone. I really don't know why that's still an issue that they can't resolve or can't figure out. Chances are a lot of times you talk to the developer, they blame Apple, then Apple blames them, and it could be security issues that Apple has enhanced, so to speak, with the latest iOS, such that it has issues connecting. All right, so we're gonna do some sort of connection with your home Wi-Fi, do it with an Android. I got that to work that time. All right, one other really big issue, and this is an issue if you are primarily using just this. Let's say you go out and about, you don't have access to an AC outlet, all right? You're relying primarily this on solar. Now the problem is that this has a lot of electronics going on in here. I got the 4G on. If I don't have it automatically turned off, it's constantly draining power. And eventually it's gonna go down to zero, okay? Especially right now, it is raining. Okay, we have cloudy conditions. I'm not getting much in. Well, right now I'm getting 19 watts. 19 watts in out of a 200 watt solar mounted on the roof. Right, that's primarily how I've been doing a lot of the testing with this unit. So I'm getting 19 watts, and as you can see, output, it's showing 0 watts, which is not true. So I can't really trust these things here. Okay, I have a laptop connected right now. Well, actually, I got disconnected. But I do find that the gauges on the actual unit itself showing over here and the app cannot be trusted. So that already defeats the purpose of having this thing be a reliable battery pack for, let's say, off-grid use, because none of this stuff I have found can be trusted. Most of the time that I've had this, I cannot trust the level of power outage, the level of battery state of charge, nor can I trust, you know, what's coming in, what's coming out. Even right now, I don't trust exactly that this is accurate. it could be delayed or something. Like earlier today, I had my laptop plugged in. I have a MacBook Pro 14 that's plugged in right early in the morning. I had it plugged in. It didn't show that it was using any power out whatsoever. But the state of charge was going down. It was trickling down a little bit slowly. So clearly power was being used, but the computer itself was not showing here. Also, the logging on the app is relatively useless because it doesn't get into the deep details. I go into the app and it's not able to download everything that happened over a period of time. I don't know why. And even now, right now, I'm logging in right now. It says the request is not authorized. So I can't even, I don't, this is just a mess. The app is a mess. The gauges here are, can't be trusted. I just simply cannot trust it. And also, finally, I'm getting to the big point that I have is that if I let this run all the way down to 0%, which could potentially happen because it's only a 1.5 kilowatt battery pack, and out of that, I might get 1.2 out of it, all right, is that if it gets down to 0, I can't get it back on. Not with solar. Not with my 200 watt solar can I get it back on. Like, it's such a discharge state that the unit cannot boot up. It won't power up no matter what I try. And that is just extremely frustrating. So the only way to get this back up and running is to actually plug in an AC outlet and let it get enough charge in there in order for it to power up. Actually, when I plug in an AC outlet, I think it takes a minute or two for it to recognize that it's getting power from the AC outlet in order to actually power it up. The problem I have now with all the latest firmwares and updates and other issues that have been resolved is that if I let this drain, or this somehow drains down to past 0% and it shuts off, I can't power it back on. Unless I plug in AC and get some power flowing in there. I've had my solar plugged in for a while, and it's a 200 watt solar panel up top. And granted, we don't get a lot of sun right now. When this thing is working properly, it gets about 50 to 80 watts in, and it still won't power on. So the system still needs to be able to power on in order for it to work. Now, the only way to get that to work is to actually plug in an AC port or maybe some more significant power source in order to get it on. So this is not something I'm going to recommend to be your sole power source when you're out and about because of this problem. You'll still need something to boot it back on, or you need to be able to make it set so that it never goes down below 0%. Because if it does, and this is your only power source, then basically you're stuck and with no power. And you can't get it through solar either. So always carry a secondary one at this point until maybe they're able to resolve this issue. Now, granted, if I had a super powerful solar system set up, maybe if I plugged that in, that might have worked. But I'm running off 200 watts. 200 watts is not powerful enough to power this up. So if I'm traveling my SUV, the most I'm going to have up top is going to be 200 watts. No, I'm not going to get anywhere. I would then need to physically have an AC outlet port that I can just plug in and jack it in for it to boot up. Once it boots up, then it will recognize the solar. So that makes it completely unreliable. If for whatever reason the unit decides that I have 0% charge, then it would just completely just die, and it would just be a big paperweight. So for those reasons, I did not feel that it was reliable enough to bring this as a battery pack that I was pulling the back of my bike solar trailer to go out and use. All right, so those are the two major issues. Now, some of the other issues that I had with regard to this had to do with the AC output. I have definitely done some video shorts about that, and I posted about it. And actually, when I contacted Zendure directly, they were able to assist me directly with that. Now, I have not contacted them about the down to 0%. I can't imagine that I'm the only one experiencing this issue. Actually, if you check out the Zendure or Superbase forums on Facebook, that's actually how I find out about other people that have similar issues as well. Another thing I still cannot rely, of course, with regards to all this is that the thing that I had with it was that I had to do a bunch of battery calibration. Okay, so I had to do like a reset procedure, and maybe I'll have a link down below about how I did the reset procedure and how that you are supposed to discharge it all the way. I mean, charge it to the full as in when it's plugged into the AC outlet okay, AC outlet from the wall into the unit, that it drops down below 50 watts as far as charging. It shows a state of charge of 100%, and let it run down all the way to 0%. Plug it back in, charge it all the way back up to 100%, and up to the point where it's past 100%, and then this thing shows below 50 watts input charging. Run it back down to 0, and then run it back to 100%. And I was told that that would resolve the issues. And for a little bit, maybe it has, but I still don't trust this. I still don't trust this state of charge. I think that there's still issues with the calibration. I can't put my finger on it, and I didn't want to spend any more time in figuring that part out. So this ultimately ends up something that I cannot 100% rely on. Okay, so to be clear, I'm not sponsored by any of these companies. So when I travel now, I just bring my trusty EcoFlows. So far, they've been working great. EcoFlow themselves had issues with their apps and with the connectivity. I think they've handled most of that. I think that they have a much more mature firmware going on. So, you know, I don't have any of these issues. But this, as it stands right now, and without further firmware updates, I think it's just not reliable enough for me to use or recommend. Now, if you don't mind beta testing things, feel free to get one. Now, I know Zendure is releasing some other systems that are bigger and more massive. Good luck to you guys, because I think a lot of firmware that was into this thing is also going into that as well, at least parts of it. So I just want to give you a fair warning about that. I don't have too much against Zendure. This is really one of those products where I feel like, yeah, I'm beta testing for them. And I think a lot of users are beta testing for them. And, you know, I do hope that they continue to fix these issues, because I want to see them succeed. I mean, they really did something, or they tried to do something very ambitious with some of their units and their latest units, including the Superbase. I think the Superbase V or something. Anyways, the much bigger one. So I've taken this out to travel with. It's okay if I have access to AC outlet. It seems to work out well and fine. Keep in mind it is 50 pounds roughly, or it feels like it's 50 pounds. And if I were you, if I were using this anywhere outdoors, I'd also consider getting a case, which will help protect it against light mountain dew and some light rain. I don't think it's fully weatherproof or not. But I do have one other suggestion too, is that they give you these flaps. These flaps are designed to stay open when you're using it. Okay, when you're using the AC outlet, unfortunately, it's not a silent thing. Turn on AC, and if it actually uses anything, the fan kicks on. It's not that bad, okay? But if I'm expecting a very quiet environment, like I have a really quiet set of Macs and I'm recording something, I don't like the sound. I can hear the sound, I don't like it. So that is one negative too. And the other thing is you really have to make sure that both sides of these flaps are open, because you want the ventilation going through. And so you want the fan actually going through. You don't want to mess anything up. So yeah, that's my take on it. And one more thing, it's also unfortunate that after the complimentary 4G connectivity runs out, you're gonna have to pay up. I don't believe that it is cheap either. I think it's like $10 a month. So it's up to you to decide whether or not that's gonna work out well for you. And I will say that when that time comes, there's a good chance I'm not gonna pay it. But if I don't pay it, then I lose connectivity with my iPhone. So that's just ends up being a feature that I'm not going to be able to use that much of. And hopefully they fix the issue with the connectivity with the iPhone and the Superbase Pro. Okay, I guess I'm ranting enough about it. But other than that, you know, it works. I got the solar coming in. I've had a lot of, like a couple hundred, I've had this up to about like 400 watts of solar coming in at some point. I tested the output and the wattage all the way up to, you know, I plugged in heaters and things, and yeah, it will power on my home heater for a good hour and 20 minutes, I believe. And that's pretty accurate to what it claims that this is capable of storing and outputting. So I don't believe that I'm going to be left out with regards to the warranty, but I just can't trust this as my only battery pack. Okay. All right, that's it for this video. Hopefully this is helpful to some of you guys. And if so, please give a like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.